Friends, as we prepare to hear today's gospel, I invite you to take a moment, close your eyes, hold in your mind's eye someone you recently grumbled righteously about. I know they exist. Or you can hold in your mind's eye a recent moment when someone had reason to grumble righteously about you. Just hold that moment. And listen to the story of Zacchaeus as we make room for everything between righteousness and mercy, and hope and trust that God will meet us there. This is the story of Zacchaeus from the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 19, verses 1 through 10. Entering Jericho, Jesus passed through the city. There was a wealthy person named Zacchaeus, the chief tax collector. Zacchaeus was trying to see who Jesus was, but he couldn't do so because of the crowd, since he was short. In order to see Jesus, Zacchaeus ran on ahead, then climbed a sycamore tree that was along the route. When Jesus came to the spot, he looked up and he said, "Zacchaeus, hurry up and come on down. I'm going to stay at your house today." Zacchaeus quickly climbed down and welcomed Jesus with delight. When everyone saw this, they began to grumble. "Jesus has gone to a sinner's house as a guest." Zacchaeus stood his ground and said to Jesus, "Here and now, I give half of my belongings to poor people. If I've defrauded anyone in the least, I will pay them back fourfold." Jesus said to the tax collector, "Today, salvation has come to this house. For this is what it means to be a descendant of Sarah and Abraham. The promised one has come to search out and save what was lost." Here ends the reading. Holy wisdom, holy word. May God help us to hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. Will y'all pray with me, please? Now may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Zacchaeus didn't have many true friends left in his community. Who was he kidding? He didn't have any true friends left. Mostly he had made his peace with this. Money and comfort, the comfort it brought, it had a way of padding out that inner voice whenever it got kind of pokey and uncomfortable. And any loneliness or lack of intimacy that attended life, he kind of was able to pad over that with the extra money he had. And if he told himself if he wasn't doing this work for the empire, somebody else surely would. He might as well reap some benefit from it rather than be stuck under the boot. But then came a day like today. The holy man Jesus was coming to town. People lined the streets like a parade was coming. And his short stature, both physically and in relationship to his community, left him the odd man out. Shoulders locked against him. No amount of pushing in the crowd would get him to a place where he could see. So like a child, he climbed a tree. Zacchaeus wasn't sure what he expected to see, but when he first caught sight of Jesus, he thought both, "That's him," and "He looks different than I imagined." Dark skin radiant from the inside, woolly hair like a halo, an aura of peace and authority attending him. As he drew closer, Zacchaeus forgot himself and absent-mindedly grabbed a fig from the branches of the sycamore fig tree to gnash on. It was bitter, poor man's fruit. He was still trying to clean the stickiness from his hands and the taste from his tongue when he felt the energy around him shift. The parade had stopped, and someone was calling his name. "Zacchaeus! Zacchaeus!" It was him. "Zacchaeus, hurry up and come on down. I'm going to stay at your house today." It happened so quickly and was such a shock. He had no chance to steel himself, to prepare, to guard, to defend. And so his undefended heart received the full impact of the surprising gift of mercy. Unasked for, unearned, undeserved. The joy that welled up in Zacchaeus, the gratitude that was overflowing, it needed an outlet, a place to go. And before he even knew what he was saying, Zacchaeus was proclaiming, "Here and now I give half of my belongings to poor people. If I've defrauded anyone in the least, I'll pay them back fourfold." And he did it without even checking his bank statement. He could hear the people grumbling righteously, deservedly, but somehow that didn't seem to matter. The mercy of this moment was for him, but it was also for them. Isn't that what Jesus meant when he said, "Today salvation has come not just to Zacchaeus, but to this house, this whole community"? For this is what it means to be a descendant of Sarah and Abraham. The promised one has come to search out and save what was lost. What was lost was both the individual and the relationship, Zacchaeus and his community. He was being magically and mercifully woven back into the fabric of his community after long setting himself above and apart. Zacchaeus would spend the rest of his life working to undo the damage that he had done and to restore what he had broken. But rather than onerous, that work too now felt like gift, like mercy, like grace. Richard Rohr writes about mercy and grace less as something that God gives and more as who God is. Rohr writes, quote, "When we say that Christ paid the debt once and for all, it simply means that God's job is to make up for all the deficiencies in the universe. What else would God do? Grace is what God does to keep alive forever all things that God has created in love." Unquote. In the story of Zacchaeus and his community, the mercy Jesus offers makes up for the deficiencies in Zacchaeus' character to date, but it also replaces the self-righteousness of the grumbling crowd with the righteousness of God. The right relationship that brings Zacchaeus down from the tree and back into his community. He will need to rebuild and restore trust, but it seems like he is on his way to that. Rohr continues, writing, quote, "The only prerequisite for receiving the next grace is having received the previous one. Our willingness to recognize an ordinary moment as gratuitous, as a free gift, as self-revelatory, as a possibility, allows it to be that way. God and grace become apparent as a gift in each moment, and those who learn how to receive gifts keep receiving further gifts. From God's fullness we have all received grace upon grace, as John 1:16 puts it." End quote. Friends, self-righteousness and hostility, the attitude of the grumblers, are flow inhibitors for the gifts, the presence, and the grace of God. Someone who believes themselves to be righteous and justified in themselves has no need of mercy, of grace, of God. And I feel like this is a particularly difficult moment for that because there are so many things to grumble about, right? There are so many things to feel righteous about and then to feel self-righteous about. And when we get caught in that loop, we get caught outside of the flow of God's grace, of the mercy that we all need. Thank God Jesus came to bring deliverance to the whole house, to search out and save what was lost, our cynical souls, our battered relationships, our hostile rather than humble righteous selves, our polarized communities, grumbling over all that is being done to fray, unravel, and turn us against each other. Jesus comes to search out and save what was lost. Even these, even us. Let the mercy of God, surprising, fecund, abundant, audacious, fill your cup to overflowing, friends. Let it soften your heart and make you brave to share it. Amen.